Coming up on Theater Talk.
This is our Theater Talk's little version of our early 60s variety show with Shaiman and Wittman.
We have to write a Theater Talk theme, I think.
Yeah, there you go, there you go.
Pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little, cheek, 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 talk a lot, pick a little more.
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the CUNY TV Foundation.
From New York City, this is Theater Talk. I'm Michael Riedel of the New York Post.
And I'm the show's producer, Susan Haskins.
And we have a real treat for you tonight, Susan, because we have two of our favorite guests of all time
we do.
on Theater Talk.
Yes, indeed.
They wrote one of my favorite musicals of all time, Hairspray, and I'm very pleased to say that they are back on Broadway this season with a terrific new musical called Catch Me If You Can. And we are delighted it brings them to Theater Talk. Welcome, Marc Shaiman and Scott Wittman.
Hello.
The guys I always think of like sort of the Richard Adler and who is the Pajama Game guy?
Jerry Ross?
Jerry Ross, Richard Adler. You guys write in the vein of great old-fashioned musical comedy.
That would be a lovely compliment.
Yes, Sammy Kahn and Virginia.
What have you done with Michael Riedel?
That's right. Well, if you'd written Spider-Man, this interview might take
enough already with Spider-Man.
different way. Welcome back to Theater Talk, guys.
Thank you.
All right, what was it about Catch Me If You Can, a Steven Spielberg movie, that attracted you, that you saw a musical in that movie about a con man in the early 60s?
Well, we had been asked to make a musical out of Stage Door.
Oh.
So we went to the dusty old drama bookshop, and on the way back to the old play section, there was this coffee table book that had just come out about the movie of Catch Me If You Can, and on the cover was Leonardo DiCaprio and a line of airline stewardesses. I said, gee, that looks like a kick line.
He said, I'd rather write a musical of that. And I was like, yeah. We just saw the show business kick line of that, and then the father-son relationship seemed so great for the emotional side of it. And
we had written a show about mothers already.
Hairspray.
Hairspray, and so this felt like fathers needed their due.
You'd seen the movie before you ran into this book, right? And when you saw the movie, did you see anything there that you could musicalize, or it just did not occur to you?
It was floating in my head a little bit because I was very attracted to the father-son situation, and there were so many qualities that the father had that were very similar to my own father. He wasn't quite a flim-flam
man.
He wasn't a flim-flam man, but he certainly had the bravado and the style of that, the character that Tom Wopat plays.
Right.
So I was very attracted to that. And I was also very attracted to the Frank Abagnale character because he's such a silver-tongued, in the vein of, Robert Preston kind of. It just felt like that sang.
Right.
And who's Frank Abagnale?
Yeah, for those who have not seen
Oh, I'm sorry,
the movie,
Frank Abagnale.
just said it for us.
By the time he was 20, he had worked in an Atlanta hospital as a doctor. He worked for the district attorney in New Orleans, and
masqueraded as a pilot.
all under assumed names.
Yeah, an airline pilot. And he was a total con man.
Yes,
Fraud.
total con man. But he also had a great redemptive quality to him because in the end, he was saved by this FBI man who gave him another life.
And your telling of the story, he has, Frank Abagnale has this intimate and intense but troubled relationship with his con man father. And the FBI, though, becomes sort of the proper father who can set him on the right path.
Right.
Was that something that's sort of in the movie or something that you have
It's in the movie, but I think the musical, by the nature of a musical and how music brings out a more emotional quality, we ended up raising that a bit more because the chase element that's throughout the movie is a little harder to do on stage. Yeah. And so it's just the musical naturally went that way.
And you're dealing a lot with the actual Frank
Abagnale.
Yeah.
At least we think that's him.
So, so what does he say?
He's around the show, right? He's been part of
Yes, he has been part of the process. He's a totally beguiling and charming older man now, obviously, and he's just been like a little godfather around the production.
And does he concur with this, that the FBI had a...
Yes, he
Yes,
did.
so very
Yes.
much of the actual FBI man that Norbert plays, Carl Hanratty, was the godfather of Frank's children.
Showbiz is a perfect place for somebody like him, though. I mean, it's full of flim-flam artists.
Yeah.
He could be one of your 8,000 producers or
Yeah.
something like that. You wouldn't know.
It takes a village, darling.
To put on a show. He's speechless.
More Jews than built the pyramids.
Now, I love the setting of the show is the early '60s. Pan Am, TWA sort of terminal feel, the jet set. And I know that for you, Marc, this is musically a time that you love. The Sammy Davis Jr. world, the variety shows. Was that influential in the idiom of the music that you're working in?
Completely. I mean, for both of us, I usually say the Ed Sullivan Show was the perfect template for the music in Catch Me If You Can. Music, when I say music, I mean music and lyrics. Because on a Sunday night, when we were kids, you'd watch the Ed Sullivan Show, and there was an hour of entertainment, and it might be the Beatles, and then Peggy Lee.
And then Topo Gigio.
Right, of course.
Or Frank Sinatra and the Rolling Stones, or Herman Hermits. You got everything, and that's one thing I feel bad about modern generations, that and I'm guilty of it too. When I'm in the car, I only put on the satellite stations that are the things I know I like, which I'm a hypocrite, because I'm talking about how back then you just watched everything and you heard everything, because you had to get up off your fat ass to change the channel. No one was going to do that. And there were only 3 channels.
That's right.
And so you just got everything. And so that's what our show is like. Although Frank Jr. is 16, 18 years old in the show, he also loves what his dad loved, Bobby Darin, Frank Sinatra. But the show itself is a little bit more like Hullabaloo, which was another show back then.
And Hollywood Palace was another one of them.
What was Hollywood?
Hollywood Palace was a weekly show on Saturday night, and a big movie star, say Joan Crawford, would say, "Welcome to Hollywood Palace," and they would have, a circus act, and then, Sergio Franchi.
It was like the LA version of the Ed Sullivan Show.
But they had an ensemble of dancers who would do
Yeah,
production.
exactly,
of it.
exactly.
Yeah. Like
And-
you've got.
Right.
Fabulous.
Yeah, we have the 10 hottest girls on Broadway. But I think that the idea of Frank telling his story, this is the way we both thought that Frank would use this idiom, because he wants to glorify his life. And so it's a big statement.
But it happened organically. I believe in your vaults, you have the film of me singing 50 checks. 50 checks don't feel like much when you first hold them. Nothing special to the touch, but look inside. Every digit points the way. Every date's your lucky day. Every check's a mini magic carpet ride. It's like Playboy After Dark here. Can you think of 50 dreams? Well, they're in your hand now. And with your heart and mind, there ain't nothing you can't do. 'Cause you have 50 choices, 50 chances, cold hard cash or hot romances. 50 checks can make those dreams come true. The first song that we wrote was 50 checks, and then we wrote another song for the mom. And after writing those songs, we realized we had written a song that Frank Sinatra could have sung, and that Judy Garland or Edith Piaf might have sung. And we realized, okay, the kid is seeing his parents in this idolized, glorified way. And it's almost as if he's presenting, like, my dad's like Frank Sinatra and my mom's like Edith Piaf. And that's what led to the concept. So it happened very organically.
Both of those songs are not in the
Cut.
show now.
Well,
I tell the cast, they look at me and I go, I literally like drowning babies.
how did you guys meet? Because you have been together as professional and romantic partners for a number of years now.
A few years.
Decades, many. We met one day. I was still living in New Jersey, and I went to see a musical off Broadway with a friend of mine from New Jersey that was ironically entitled Boy Meets Boy at the Actors Playhouse. And we ran into some other friends from New Jersey on the street after the matinee, and we said, oh, let's catch up. And there was a piano bar right there called Marie's Crisis. It's still there.
Oh, yeah.
I went in there with my friends. I started playing the piano. It was empty. It was like 4:30 in the afternoon. I was only 16. I shouldn't have been in there. And the bartender was sweeping up, and he went,
Very MGM.
"Wait right here. Hey, kid, you're good." I said, "Wait here." And he ran over.
And I was directing a show at the Duplex, which is next door.
Of
and he
course.
said,
Still there-
there's
still there, too.
Yes. Hey, there's a kid down there. 'Cause I had a piano player used to call Mittens because he was so terrible. And so they ran down we ran in and saw him, and we said, "That's our Hitler."
They said, "Can you play together wherever we go cheesy?" And I went, "You mean like the way they play it at a bar mitzvah?" I'd never known other people who got that strange way, that show busy other style of music. And so I played, and I came in and started playing for the comedy act on the weekends. And
What was the first song you guys wrote together?
We wrote a musical based on about the life of Barbie and Ken, how Barbie and Ken met. We did it in a basement of a Polish church on St. Mark's Place.
What was it called?
Living
Dolls.
And we did it for a while until Mattel said,
Cease and desist.
of course, as fate would have it, almost 30 years later, Mattel called and said, "We'd like to do the Living Doll."
No,
You got that Living Dolls? We couldn't believe. Oh my God!
After the
This had
success of
only
Hairspray,
come.
when you guys
Yeah,
at the top of
yeah.
'Cause
Broadway.
it broke our heart, because that was almost our big break. It got moved to the Manhattan Theater Club, but when Mattel made us take Barbie and Ken away,
It
it
kinda shut that
lost
little life out.
what it was.
Well, since Mattel has asked you, have you revisited the?
Now, believe it or not, we've been too busy to act on their offer. Oh
we
my
get-
God.
I was like, when Gloria Swanson says, "And so I've been waiting 30 years for this call."
But I love the sensibility that you have, which comes through in Catch Me. Although I must say, Catch Me is kind of a musical drama, because it seems to me to be, as much as I loved Hairspray, this is much more moving. And you guys do the wonderful light pastiche fluff very well, but it seems that in here you've gotten a little more, I don't know, heart or drama.
What's the nature of the story?
Nature of the story, and it's a little grittier at the end.
You have a beautiful big song for Aaron
Tveit.
Tveit at the end.
Yes.
A very powerful, dramatic song. And that's not a vein that you seem to write in a lot.
Yes, it is. It's just Hairspray came along and presented us in a certain way, but we can try to do anything people will let us. I don't know. Hopefully this will lead to more. But
More.
I mean, it was the same thing for me in movie scores, when I was scoring so many romantic comedies, and after a while I was only getting offered that. And yet, even though it was a romantic comedy in a way, I scored a movie, The American President, that had a much more
you did that.
rich feeling, and yet I kept getting pigeonholed into more like the dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee kind of stuff. And then Hairspray came along and saved my life and changed our lives.
Both our high schools did Hairspray 2 weeks
This was
ago.
brilliant.
Separate, I mean, independent.
Did you go to see it?
I would have.
His did it the weekend where we couldn't leave.
was
for
the first
preview.
week
It
of
was our
previews.
first. But mine did it. Well, mine did it for 2 weekends, and it was our second Saturday, and we couldn't make any changes to the show that day. And I was like, you know what? I could miss the show tonight. It might be good to miss a show. And I went to New Jersey, and I saw them do a musical I wrote in the auditorium that I first auditioned to play piano for a musical. I mean, they brought me up and made me make a little speech, and I was literally standing right above where the piano that I went and said, "Can I audition to play for The Sound of Music?" I said, when I was in high school, I used to I played hooky from high school to go to New York to see musicals, and tonight I played hooky from my musical on Broadway to come back to high school. It was the strangest thing.
I hear that you have written a TV pilot that involves a horrendous gossip columnist.
Yes.
We've been doing a TV show a pilot called Smash, and Michael Riedel is actually
Referred to.
he's like Waldo Lydecker and Laura.
Oh, I love
So I think he's actually a plot point.
Well, Teresa Rebeck has written the script with you guys, and she told me I'm going to use your name, because we should say to people, it's about the out-of-town tryout of a big Broadway musical,
Right.
and Michael Riedel, the feared gossip columnist of the New York Post, is going to go see the musical, as I often do out of town. And Teresa wrote a line in there calling me a little Nazi.
Yeah.
And I did this for you. I had to sign a release for NBC and it says, "You will be referred to as a, quote, little Nazi in this pilot, and you will not sue."
You will
Well,
like it.
that's what we call
And you will
fact
like it.
checking.
And I sign it, but are you, who's going to play me?
But later on, you say
we
something
hope
nice
you.
about the musical, and so she changed her tune. And she goes, "Actually, he doesn't get enough credit he's really a very smart guy."
The character.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
But we write the music musical that they're writing. So the other day we literally went from doing the Broadway musical, then we went to the rehearsal for the show about the Broadway musical. I felt like I was in a gay Inception.
Larry Gelbart famously said that if Adolf Hitler was alive, he hopes he's doing a musical
Out of town.
Can it be that difficult sometimes?
Yes, I texted somebody last night, and I'll actually ask, if you write my obituary, please write cause of death, show business.
Yeah, I can relate to that, yeah.
Except you guys love it. I mean, the struggles,
Yeah, but we have definitely on this one had every possible thing.
Anything you wish to share?
Yeah,
Not at all.
You can't just leave it out there like that. What's been the hardest? What's been the struggle on this show?
It's just the normal.
It's a complicated story to tell on stage. It really is. It really is. And trying to find
It is
the
a
right tone
plot-heavy
of that.
show.
I mean, it's as simple as this: comparing Hairspray and Catch Me, which are apples and oranges. But Hairspray basically was a musical in its original form. It had old songs, but it had songs and it had people who should sing and dance. So it was such a natural thing. And this just needed more work. And so with that work came a lot of different opinions. And just trying to all get on the same page is sometimes not as easy as it was on Hairspray, where the template was so already laid out.
So even from the beginning of Hairspray, you guys were all on as Peter Stone, the old wonderful Broadway writer, said, everyone has to be on the same level.
Yes,
and if you're not on the same level, you're going to have a show that competes against it.
Yes. But we're very lucky because we had Jack O'Brien, Jerry Mitchell, Kenny Posner, David Rockwell, William Ivey, Paul Huntley, it's Steve Kennedy. It's all that troupe. So we have such a shorthand together after they're all working on Hairspray together that it just, it's a wonderful way to go through the tech process and the directing process with them.
William Goldman said in that great book, The Season, that I know you guys have read, that every show has to have the muscle, that ultimately somebody has to be calling the shots. Are you, Shaiman and Wittman, are you guys the muscle on the Shaiman and Wittman show?
We're opinionated, but you know what, we respect. It's such a collaboration.
Jack's a director,
Jack is a director. Jerry is the stage. It's such a collaboration, and unless you respect all those people,
Who wins if there's a battle? I mean, who ultimately?
I'd say we have tried everything. Everyone has gotten a chance to see what they thought, and there have been one or two previews that I would like to now get the numbers from Telecharge of everyone who was there and say, as my guest, I'm going to sneak you into the last 10 minutes of the show, because what you saw that night, I'd rather you saw what it now has become. But we tried everything, and we have really worked hard. Everyone on the team has really, really worked hard. There hasn't been a day or an hour we haven't been thinking, what else can we do?
I mean, even when we leave you today,
you're going back to...
We're making a cut.
1 week before the show opens.
We have a big cut going in today. So, I mean, you just learn. The audience tells you they're actually the muscle.
Yeah, that's
in the end, they tell you everything.
Good.
That's right. And Peter, again, Peter Stone always said that you have to be able to listen to that audience and not resist them.
Never.
If they're resisting your show, because then you're sunk. You have to move with them as they moved with the show.
I can feel it when I'm sitting there. We all feel it, and you know, hey, let's do this, and usually you end up, hopefully it's the right decision.
And now they have like focus groups for Broadway, which movies have had for a long time.
terrifies me.
Yeah.
Whether it's your chat boards or focus groups, once the audience is telling you everything you need to know during the show.
You don't,
And that's the way it's been for hundreds of years. You don't need...
We don't go on.
You go to those focus?
Once you start thinking about it, to write it down, and you're asked leading
on
questions about,
I don't. I find chat rooms for me when it's not when people can't sign their name to a criticism, I don't respect it. It's like scrawling dirty words under a viaduct. I mean, if you can't say that you stink, sign so
Michael Riedel, little Nazi.
I mean, you do. I'll give you that.
You put your name to it. Come on, people.
But you go on those chat rooms because
not as much, because I realized there was no winning this. Yeah. I would go on it just to correct things that were not facts.
Right.
I figured I can go on. I could be like when Woody Allen pulls what's his name? I can't.
Marshall
McLuhan out. I can at least say that's not true.
Yeah.
And I'm there. I can tell you that that's not true. But then it starts the fighting about what I have said, and people saying, "Oh, you're a brown nose," and they start fighting them. it's just not working.
I have a policy like you. I don't respond. People can say whatever they want about me, and Lord knows they do on the thing. I never respond to it.
No.
Feeling, listen, I dish it out, so I got to be able to.
Yeah.
Got to be able to take
But
it.
don't you want to know who's dishing it out?
I know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part, yeah.
I do know.
You know.
I do know because I know the name. I have the press agent I know has all the list of all the people.
Wow.
You'd be surprised.
That's like...
Margot Lyon, Jack O'Brien, they're unbelievable.
That's what we can't believe about nowadays, that everyone feels on the Facebook pages, they just go into these long things. Someone's sister, someone's brother, someone's mother is reading that. And I don't want to be a hypocrite. We're queens that dish about stuff, but we know who we're talking with, and you watch what you say.
That when we both were this, when I saw things at that age, we either loved them or liked them. I've never come out of a theater going, I mean, yes, you find things that are not right, but there's always some glorious moment in every show that you say that was worth whatever I went through.
So you weren't running to see the great flops of the 60s and 70s. You were, but
I was. We've talked about it.
Of course. Well, before we wrap it up, then, I know you love them all, but can you tell me your favorite all-time classic Broadway fiasco?
Golden Rainbow.
Golden Rainbow, and that was, who was in that?
Steve and Edie.
Oh, of course.
Because by the second act, they stopped calling each other by the character names, and they would just say, "Steve, what do you think, Edie?"
And they would just do.
But they were glorious, whatever it was.
And yours?
I don't think I have one, because I am truly Pollyannish. Once I'm in a theater, I am happy.
And we have a little treat now, because I believe you guys are going to do a little sort of Ed Sullivan type variety hour number.
Well, Fingers is over here.
Fingers.
As opposed to Mittens.
You're going to dance this time?
No, I'm chained to the piano.
Okay. And I want to say this. I'm Michael Riedel, and welcome to the Hollywood Palace.
David Susskind. It has a little David Susskind
David
feeling.
Susskind, exactly right. This is our Theater Talk's little version of our early 60s variety show with Shaiman and Wittman.
We have to write a Theater Talk theme, I think.
Yeah, there you go.
Pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little, tick, 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 talk a little, pick a little more.
Fabulous. All right, we have a treat now, because we're going to hear a song from Catch Me If You Can, and you want to set it up for us, Marc?
Well, this is one of those moments like in Hairspray when there was the line, "Mama, welcome to the 60s." We were like, that's a song. So in Catch Me If You Can, there's this great fable that Jeff Nathanson, the screenwriter, created that Chris Walken, as the father, tells. It kind of sums up his way of looking at life, which is two little mice fell in a bucket of cream. The first mouse quickly gave up and drowned, but the second mouse, he struggled so hard, he churned that cream into butter and he walked out. I thought, that could be a song. I mean, that could be a song not unlike High Hopes, great Sammy Cahn, Jimmy Van Heusen song. They used to, or A Fish is an Animal, all those kind of songs.
I like this swing on a star, caribou.
Using animals. So anyway, so we wrote this song. Two little mice of great renown fell in some milk, and one proceeded to drown. The other one still the toast of the town, 'cause he made butter out of cream. He looked around, deduced his plight, said this is no way to spend a Saturday night. But he had the style to make things right, so he made butter out of cream. He kicked his legs up, he tossed and turned, so not to end up a ghost. He did the hokey pokey till the cream was churned, then baby, he walked right out and buttered his toast. Now he's on top, for goodness sakes. Yeah, he's the big cheese up at Land O'Lakes. He's living proof that pop, all it takes is a scheme. So if you land in the gutter, just make butter out of cream. So if lemons clog your sink up, don't just stand around and scream. Spike some lemonade and drink up, and make butter out of cream. I like that tempo. We should try that tempo tonight.
Yes. Where's my martini, my cigarette here on the Lux?
Right under here. I got it.
Lux Variety Hour. All right, the show is Catch Me If You Can at the Neil Simon Theater, written by our good friends Marc, Shaiman, and Scott Wittman. Good luck, and here's to another big hit, boys.
Thank you, Waldo Lydecker.
Thank you, and good night from Peter.
Thank you, guys.
So we got a stew and life's a bits. The bug and the mouse at the end of their wits. They knew the key to life is that it's what you dream. So if lemon's like your sake, don't just stand around and scream. Spike some lemonade and drink up and make butter out of cream. Just make butter out of cream.
Make some butter out of cream.
I hear what you're saying, son. I'll make butter out of cream.
Our thanks to the Friends of Theater Talk for their significant contribution to this production.
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the Frederick Lowe Foundation, the Eleanor Naylor Dana Charitable Trust, the Alan S. Gordon Foundation, the Corey and Bob Donnelly Charitable Fund, Carrie J. Fries, the Dorothy Strelson Foundation, the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, and the New York State Council on the Arts, a state agency.
We welcome your questions or comments for Theater Talk. Thank you and good night.